Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Folks, this clip right over here.
You do realize, Pete, a lot of black people feel like Democrats have kept no promises since they've been in office.
Really?
Yes. Reverend Island said that a million times. I'm sure he'll be pressing you about that tomorrow.
Is going to haunt Democrats for a very, very long time. They've had years and years to listen, to pay attention. The trend has continued over the last couple of years. You see the exit polling data, you see voting data and voting patterns in general. The mass exodus of minority voters from the Democrat Party is real, and Democrats do what Democrats do best. They ignore it, they pretend like it doesn't exist, they convince themselves in the most deluded of fashion that it's not happening, but it is. How can you be surprised? Pete Buttigieg responds with, "Really? Oh, I didn't know that." As if the same reoccurring issues that the black community is going through, especially in Democrat cities, isn't getting worse on a year-by-year basis. Really, I thought we were doing so good. As these Democrats continue to live in their elitist bubble and continue to convince themselves that they're the only option minority voters have. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, and the reality is, Democrats are losing minority voters, and not just black voters, at an increasing rate. The couple percentage points that we saw from 2016 to 2020 is one thing. Well, it's starting to expand as more and more people leave the Democrat Party, and it's black voters, it's Latino voters, and it's Asian American voters. And let's just say these delusional Democrats aren't taking it very well and are running away from this electoral nightmare, pretending it doesn't exist instead of tackling it head on. And so we're going to do what we always do, folks. Let's look at public voter sentiment, let's look at the polling data, and let's continue to project this image that Democrats are absolutely screwed, and this may be the end of the Democrat Party, at least for a significant amount of time if this continues. Let me show you guys what's going on, but of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's first start off with a couple interesting segments. Here's one from Meet the Press, which is Chuck Todd's show. NBC News asks rural black voters if Democrats have done anything for them. The answer, F no, no.
Do you feel like the Democratic Party has done much for black people in the last couple years?
Taking us down through there, that's about it. Taking all our like the rest of them. They ain't gonna do nothing for us.
Has Biden and generally the Democratic Party, have they fulfilled promises that they've made over the last couple years?
To me, in a small town like this, it really doesn't matter who you have in office. The effect that we experience is the same. It don't matter if it's Biden, it don't matter if it's Trump, it don't matter if it's Obama or Clinton or Bush. It really doesn't matter. What we feel down here is exactly the same. You know, they can never even tell us who the president is, and we really still going to be exactly the same.
And this right over here, not only is it true, but this spells some very, very bad news for the Democrats. Actually, there's a relevant clip that I can play for you guys here, which will just pile on to what I'm trying to say, and it's once again from the same interview between Charlemagne The God on The Breakfast Club and Pete Buttigieg.
We need to talk about why there's really going to be 100% opposition on the Republican side to
We
this.
know why, though.
Well,
we don't expect it. Personally, I voted for Democrats. I don't expect anything Republicans. They let us know exactly who they are. They're not trying to pretend to be our friends.
But this helps Republicans, too.
And so what Charlemagne The God says here is that for most black voters, there's no real distinction between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. It's not like you're getting anything from the Democrats, and so people view the Republicans with the sense of, at least we know who they are. They're not promising anything. It's more of the conservative, individualist point of view where you're kind of on your own. You get out of life what you put in, without all of the red tape and regulatory burden of Democrats. And so it seems as though a lot of people are looking at the Republican Party, this small government view, less government interference, more control over your own life, as a better option or more beneficial than heavy government burden, heavy government presence, and not really getting much out of it. Just a bad business deal, a bad deal that the Democrats are offering. Minority voters continue to vote for the Democrat Party. I mean, it's been decades upon decades, and they don't really have anything to show for it. The Democrats have been making the same promises for decades, each election cycle, over and over and over again, and they've delivered on pretty much nothing. And so this trend continues to expand. The New York Post also just ran with this piece right over here. Twitter, Democrats hemorrhaging Black America support in U.S. cities. Blacks might be on the cusp of a second Great Migration, this time in the voting booth. Black America is wising up to Democrat failures, and the question is now whether or not it's too late, said conservative commentator Candace Owens, noting that every single metric is worse for Black America under a Biden presidency than under a Trump presidency. There are 30 million voting-age African Americans, and 92% of those who voted pulled the lever for Biden in 2020, but only 69% support him today, according to a new CNN survey. And a new Quinnipiac poll puts Black support for the president at just 58%, with 20% strongly disapproving of his leadership. David Shaman Ortiz, 29, is among the growing list of disillusioned former Democrats. The biracial Brooklyn native, former city council staffer, and political activist marched with Black Lives Matter in 2020. This year, however, he protested outside the U.S. Capitol waving an F Biden flag, as well as a Let's Go Brandon flag and Trump 2024 flag. And the New York Post created this piece with Mr. Ortiz.
My name is David Louis Ortiz, better known as Shaman of New York City. Today, I'm here at the Department of Motor Vehicles to change my voter registration. The reason why I'm changing my voter registration today is because, unfortunately, the Democratic Party has led me wrong and has led my ancestors and the Black and brown communities of New York State, let alone of the United States, wrong.
The seed of Democrat discontent has been planted, and it continues to grow, and it's something that liberals are struggling very hard to cope with. Here's another piece. Liberals lash out at Van Jones for saying Biden is losing Black voters because he didn't fulfill his promises and made their lives worse.
Well, I think that there's a disappointment factor that's set in. I think a lot of Black voters feel like the Black community gave the most during the election. It was a historic election, 2020, and have gotten the least. If you look at voting rights, so far, nothing. Police reform, so far, nothing. You look at some of the student loan stuff, very little. So what was motivating African-American voters, left, right, and otherwise, were that somebody was going to come to our rescue. The day-to-day reality for Black folks hasn't improved. In fact, because of inflation and other things, gotten worse. And so you're starting to see that disappointment factor set in.
And while everything that Van Jones said was absolutely accurate, left-wing Twitter responded exactly how you might expect. Tara Dublin writes, Van Jones is wrong. The media has underreported Joe Biden's accomplishments because they have PTSD from TFG, which is that effing guy, Donald Trump. Get a handle on your business, for F's sakes, mainstream media. Hashtag Biden boom. And the same trend that we always see, most of the people who were criticizing Van Jones were in fact white liberal women with Twitter checkmarks. Nothing screams a true connection to the true Black community than elitist white liberal women tweeting from their iPhones or tweeting from their MacBook Pros sitting in a Starbucks in a posh community. They just don't get it. But the reality is they just don't want to get it. Van Jones said that their day-to-day lives are getting harder, and everyone who's angry and raging in the Twitter comments is attacking Van Jones for making that point. How does he know that life is getting harder? It's as if they're not paying attention. They don't want to pay attention to reality. Life is getting harder for literally everyone. Every day under the Biden administration has made everyone except for the extremely wealthy elite asset class and business owning class poorer. Our hard-earned dollars are becoming worth less and less and less. We are getting priced out of the real estate market, and the extremely wealthy elite that own everything and continue to buy up everything continue to get richer. That is the current reality under Joe Biden's presidency. That is what Democrat policies and left-wing policies have resulted for the average American, yet they just don't want to accept it. But again, it's just reality, and every single outlet is reporting the same thing. We have this piece from The Hill. Minorities are finding a new political home with the Republican Party. We have this little segment from CNN as well.
New polling suggests that Black voters may be souring on Democrats. CNN's senior data reporter, Harry Enton, is here. Harry, great to see you.
Nice to see you.
So you have found that Biden's approval with Black Americans is down. How far are we talking here?
I mean, it's really down. I mean, you can see it here. At the beginning of his term, he was at 87%. Look at where he is over the last few months, 67%. That's a 20-point drop. And not only is it a 20-point drop, that 67%, Barack Obama, the last Democratic president, never dropped below 75% in any Gallup poll. So this is lower than Barack Obama ever was. I think one way to sort of look at this, right, is the choice for president. And we go back since 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. Right now, if you go back to 2020, Joe Biden won Black voters by 75 points. That was down from 2016, 2012, 2008. You really have to go all the way back to 2004. Now, you were asking before, why? What is driving this erosion? And this, I think, will give you the clue. It's Black conservative voters. Black conservatives, look at that. 2016, Dems won by 58 points. Hillary Clinton, look at that. Just a 20-point margin for Joe Biden. All others, moderates and liberals, that 87-point margin held. It's black conservatives that are driving this.
A 20% drop from 87% approval to 67. It's just the reality. And one thing we know for sure, one thing we know that is true is liberal elitists and Twitter leftists have a very, very dysfunctional relationship with the concept of reality. They just don't want to accept it. But Twitter folk, Van Jones is absolutely correct. The Democrats are hemorrhaging minority votes. The black community, the Hispanic community, and the Asian American community are leaving the Democrat Party like never before. And honestly, Republicans didn't even have to do anything. The Democrats did it to themselves. In the end, good ideas and good policies will always win over cruddy ideas and cruddy policies. And that's exactly what we are seeing. That's also what I got for you guys though. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.